Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Saturday Morning Mastermind. I'm your host today, Samantha Studebaker Carl, and I'm here with my good friends, Catherine and Lori and Jason. And today we're going to do something a little bit different than what we have done in the past. And we're going to review a website called SoBrief. And SoBrief is a website that it discusses, it like creates these brief summaries of books and then kind of spells it out for you what the book's about. And so we're going to look into that and see if they give enough of a summary to really give you the meat of the book. Because what we've done over the years is we've read entire books on our Saturday morning mastermind, gone through them. And so we've really gotten deep into these books. And so we want to see what the comparison is in between reading the whole book versus just reading a brief summary. Can we get the same out of it that we do when we read the whole thing? But before we get going with that, I want to give my friends an opportunity to introduce themselves, and then we will jump over to the SoBrief website and see if they've got any of the books that we've read in the past so we have something to compare with. All right, guys, jump out, introduce yourselves.
Lori Emmons in Denver.
Yeah, Jason to Tampa.
Catherine Clement. Happy Saturday, everybody.
Happy Saturday. All right, let me do a screen share here. Okay, so the SoBrief website is read any book in 10 minutes. It's got 73,530 book summaries and audio in 40 languages. It says read for free, listen for $3.75 a month. So we can read any of these, but not have to pay for it unless we want to do the Audible version. I'm going to jump back over to our book list. The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. Let's see if that's over there.
Midnight Library was fun to review, I thought.
Yeah, that's a good one. We all enjoyed that one, I think.
Let's see if it's actually on there. It just showed up as a possible book. Summarized. Okay, it does say it's summarized. All right, there we go. So we've got one to look at here. All right, so The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. Okay, Catherine, do you want to read or what do you want to do?
Yeah, I'll be glad to read.
All right, I'll pull it to there.
Okay, the plot summary, the despairing decision. Nora Seed, overwhelmed by regrets and failures, decides to end her life. She feels trapped in a cycle of disappointment, having lost her job, her cat, and her sense of purpose. Her relationships are strained, and she sees no way out of her despair. In a moment of crisis, she overdoses on pills, hoping to escape the pain of her existence. But instead of dying, she finds herself in a mysterious library, suspended between life and death, where every book represents a different life she could have lived. Between life and death, the Midnight Library's revelation. In the Midnight Library, Nora meets Mrs. Elm, her old school librarian, who explains that each book offers a chance to live a different version of her life. This library exists in the space between life and death, and Nora can explore these alternate realities to see how her choices could have led to different outcomes. The library is vast with infinite possibilities, and Nora is given the opportunity to undo her regrets and find a life she truly wants to live. Infinite possibilities, exploring alternate lives. Nora begins her journey through the books, experiencing lives where she made different choices. She becomes an Olympic swimmer, a rock star, a glaciologist, and more. Each life offers new experiences and challenges, but none provide the fulfillment she seeks. As she navigates these lives, she learns about the consequences of her choices and the interconnectedness of her actions. Despite the allure of these alternate realities, Nora struggles to find a life that feels authentically hers. The Book of Regrets, Confronting Past Decisions. Nora is given the Book of Regrets, which lists every regret she has ever had. As she reads through it, she realizes that many of her regrets are based on misconceptions and misunderstandings. This revelation helps her see that her regrets have been holding her back, and she begins to understand the importance of accepting her past. The book becomes lighter as she lets go of these burdens, allowing her to focus on the present and the possibilities it holds. Lives of Success and Failure, Lessons from Alternate Realities. Nora continues to explore different lives, each with its own successes and failures. She experiences fame, wealth, love, and loss, but none of these lives bring her lasting happiness. Through these experiences, she learns that success is not defined by external achievements, but by inner contentment. She realizes that every life has its challenges and that true fulfillment comes from within. This understanding shifts her perspective on what it means to live a meaningful life. This, give me just. The Search for Meaning, Finding Purpose in the Present. As Nora delves deeper into the library, she begins to question the nature of happiness and the meaning of life. She discovers that the pursuit of a perfect life is futile, and that true happiness lies in embracing the imperfections of her current existence. She learns to appreciate the small moments of joy and connection that make life worth living. This newfound wisdom empowers her to make peace with her past and to live with intention and gratitude. Embracing the present, choosing life and acceptance. In the end, Nora decides to return to her root life, armed with the knowledge and insights gained from her journey through the Midnight Library. She understands that while she cannot change the past, she can choose how to live in the present. With a renewed sense of purpose, she embraces her life with all its complexities and uncertainties. She realizes that she is not defined by her regrets, but by her ability to grow and change. Nora chooses to live fully and authentically in the life she has. And I don't know, do you want me to read about all the characters or?
Sure, let's see what it's about. See what
Okay.
yeah.
Nora Seed, it's talking about the characters now. Nora Seed, a woman seeking meaning. Nora is the protagonist, struggling with depression and regret. Her journey through the Midnight Library allows her to explore alternate lives and confront her past decisions. She evolves from a state of despair to one of acceptance and hope, realizing that true happiness comes from within. Mrs. Elm, the guiding librarian. Mrs. Elm is Nora's old school librarian and the guide in the Midnight Library. She helps Nora navigate the infinite possibilities and encourages her to confront her regrets. Her wisdom and kindness provide Nora with the support she needs to find her way. Ash, a symbol of kindness. Ash is a surgeon who shows kindness to Nora in her root life. In alternate lives, he becomes a significant figure, representing the potential for love and connection. His presence highlights the importance of compassion and understanding in Nora's journey. Joe Seed, the estranged brother. Joe is Nora's brother with whom she has a strained relationship. In various lives, their relationship changes, reflecting the impact of Nora's choices. Joe's character underscores the theme of family and the possibility of reconciliation and healing. Dylan, a gentle partner. In one life, Dylan is Nora's boyfriend, representing a simple, content existence. His character illustrates the idea that happiness can be found in ordinary moments and that love doesn't always need grand gestures. Hugo Lefebvre. Hugo is another traveler of alternate lives, whom Nora meets in the Midnight Library. His experiences and insights help Nora understand the nature of the multiverse and the importance of finding a life that feels right. Plot devices. The Midnight Library, a gateway to infinite lives. The library serves as the central plot device, allowing Nora to explore different versions of her life. It represents the space between life and death, where she can confront her regrets and make choices about her future. The Book of Regrets, a catalyst for change. This book lists all of Nora's regrets, prompting her to reflect on her past decisions. It symbolizes the weight of regret and the possibility of letting go to embrace the present. Alternate lives, exploration of choices. Nora's journey through various lives illustrates the impact of her choices and the interconnectedness of her actions. Each life offers lessons and my lower menu's blocking things. Each life offers lessons and insights, helping her understand the nature of happiness and fulfillment. Analysis, a meditation on choice and regret. The Midnight Library explores the themes of choice, regret, and the search for meaning. It highlights the idea that happiness is not found in external achievements, but in accepting and embracing one's life. The novel encourages readers to let go of regrets and focus on the present, recognizing the potential for growth and change. Through Nora's journey, the story emphasizes the importance of kindness, connection, and self-acceptance in living a fulfilling life. Frequently asked questions, synopsis and basic details. What is the Midnight Library about? A life-altering choice. Nora Seed, facing deep despair, enters a library between life and death, where she can explore alternate versions of her life based on different choices. Exploring infinite possibilities. Each book in the library represents a different path her life could have taken, allowing her to experience various realities and confront her regrets. A journey of self-discovery. Through these experiences, Nora seeks to understand what truly makes a life worth living, ultimately leading her to a deeper appreciation of her own existence. Why should I read The Midnight Library? Thought-provoking exploration. The novel delves into profound themes of regret, choice, and the search for meaning, prompting readers to reflect on their own lives and decisions. Emotional resonance. Matt Haig crafts a deeply emotional narrative that explores the complexities of depression, anxiety, and the human condition, making it relatable and moving. Unique narrative structure. The concept of the Midnight Library and the exploration of alternate lives provides a fresh and engaging reading experience, blending fantasy with philosophical inquiry. What is the background of the Midnight Library? Contemporary setting. The story is set in modern-day Bedford, England, reflecting the challenges and anxieties of contemporary life, including social media pressures and mental health struggles. Philosophical underpinnings. The novel draws on philosophical concepts such as existentialism and the nature of choice, adding depth and intellectual weight to the narrative. Personal struggles. The story is rooted in the author's own experiences with depression and anxiety, lending authenticity and emotional depth to Nora's journey. What are the most memorable quotes in the Midnight Library? Between life and death, there is a library. This quote introduces the central concept of the novel, highlighting the liminal space where Nora can explore her alternate lives. The only way to learn is to live. This recurring phrase emphasizes the importance of experience and the limitations of theoretical knowledge, driving Nora's journey of self-discovery. Never underestimate the big importance of small things. This quote underscores the significance of seemingly minor choices and actions, revealing their profound impact on the course of a life. Writing style, narrative choices, and literary techniques does Matt Haig use? Accessible and engaging prose. Haig employs a clear and straightforward writing style, making complex philosophical ideas accessible to a wide audience. First-person perspective. The story is narrated from Nora's point of view, allowing readers to intimately experience her thoughts, emotions, and evolving understanding of life. Blending of genres. The novel seamlessly blends elements of fantasy, science fiction, and philosophical fiction, creating a unique and thought-provoking reading experience. Hidden details and some subtle connections. What are some minor details that add significant meaning? The color green. The book and the library are all shades of green, symbolizing life, growth, and the infinite possibilities of Nora's existence, while also hinting at the potential for envy and regret. The recurring mention of time. The constant references to time, especially midnight, emphasize the liminal state Nora is in and the urgency of her choices, highlighting the preciousness of each moment. The use of specific objects. Objects like the chess set, the National Geographic magazine, and the Simon and Garfunkel songbook act as recurring motives, connecting different lives and highlighting Nora's core interests and regrets. What are some subtle foreshadowing and callbacks? Mrs. Elm's issues. Mrs. Elm's habit of pulling tissues, Mrs. Elm's habit of pulling tissues from her sleeve foreshadows the idea that lives, like tissues, are plentiful and disposable, yet each one is unique and valuable. The Jaws t-shirt. Dan's Jaws t-shirt, initially a symbol of a shared memory, later becomes a reminder of their differing values and the subtle ways their relationship was flawed. The mention of Svalbard. Nora's childhood fascination with Svalbard foreshadows her later experience in the Arctic, highlighting her desire for escape and her interest in the natural world. What are some unexpected character connections? Ash's recurring presence. Ash appears in multiple lives, not just as a romantic interest, but as a symbol of kindness and connection, highlighting the importance of human relationships in Nora's journey. Ravi's shifting roles. Ravi's appearance in different lives, from bandmate to a resentful acquaintance, reveal the impact of Nora's choices on those around her and the complexities of human relationships. The shared experience of sliders. The introduction of Hugo Lever, a fellow slider, reveals that Nora's experience is not unique, suggesting a broader phenomenon of individuals exploring alternate realities. Who are the most significant supporting characters? Mrs. Elm, as the librarian, she is the primary guide and mentor for Nora, offering wisdom and support as Nora navigates the library and her own life. Joe Seed, Nora's brother Joe, represents the complexities of family relationships and the impact of choices on those closest to us, highlighting the potential for both conflict and reconciliation. Ash. Ash serves as a symbol of kindness and connection, demonstrating the importance of human relationships and the potential for love and understanding in Nora's life. Psychological, emotional, and relational analysis. What are some unspoken motivations of the characters? Nora's fear of commitment. Nora's repeated backing out of significant life choices such as swimming, the band, and her wedding reveals an underlying fear of commitment and a belief that she is not worthy of happiness. Dan's need for control. Dan's desire for a pub in the countryside and his disapproval of Nora's music career suggest a need for control and a desire to shape Nora's life according to his own vision. Mrs. Elm's desire to help. Mrs. Elm's seemingly detached demeanor masks a deep desire to help Nora find her way, reflecting her own experience with regret and her belief in the potential for change. What psychological complexities do the characters exhibit? Nora's depression and anxiety. Nora's struggles with depression and anxiety are portrayed with nuance and depth, highlighting the internal battle she faces and the impact of her mental health on her choices. Joe's hidden pain. Joe's seemingly carefree attitude masks his own struggles with identity and self-worth, revealing the complexities of sibling relationships and the impact of societal expectations. Ash's quiet empathy. Ash's calm and empathetic nature hides a deep understanding of human suffering, making him a source of comfort and support for Nora in various lives. What are the major emotional turning points? The death of Voltaire. The death of Nora's cat, Voltaire, serves as a catalyst for her despair and her decision to end her life, highlighting the depth of her emotional pain and isolation. The encounter with the polar bear. Nora's near-death experience with the polar bear in Svalbard forces her to confront her desire to die and awakens a new appreciation for life. The conversation with her father. The phone call with her father in the Olympic life, where she learns of his affair and her mother's death, forces her to confront the complexities of her family relationships and the impact of her choices on others. How do relationship dynamics evolve? Nora and Joe's sibling bond. The relationship between Nora and Joe evolves from strained and distant to one of understanding and support, highlighting the potential for healing and reconciliation. Nora and Dan's romantic entanglement. The relationship between Nora and Dan shifts from a seemingly perfect love story to a cautionary tale of mismatched expectations and the dangers of sacrificing one's own dreams. Nora and Mrs. Elm's mentor-mentee connection. The relationship between Nora and Mrs. Elm evolves from a simple student-librarian dynamic to a deep connection based on shared understanding and mutual respect. Interpretation and debate. Which parts of the story remain ambiguous or open-ended? The nature of the Midnight Library. The exact nature of the Midnight Library and its connection to the multiverse remains ambiguous, leaving room for interpretation and speculation about the nature of reality. The origin of Mrs. Elm. The true identity and purpose of Mrs. Elm, as well as her connection to Nora's life, remained open to interpretation, suggesting that she may be more than just a librarian. The finality of Nora's choices. While Nora chooses to return to her root life, the long-term implications of her decision and the possibility of future regrets remain open-ended, leaving readers to ponder the ongoing nature of life's journey. What are some debatable, controversial scenes or moments in the Midnight Library? Nora's initial desire to die. Nora's decision to end her life may be seen as controversial, prompting discussions about the complexities of mental health and the ethics of suicide. The portrayal of alternate lives. The depiction of alternate lives, some of which are seemingly better than others, raises questions about the nature of happiness and the value of different life choices. The role of free will. The novel's exploration of choice and consequences raises questions about the extent to which individuals have control over their lives and the influence of external factors. The Midnight Library ending explained how it ends and what it means. Nora's return to her root life, Nora's decision to return to her original life signifies her acceptance of her past and her commitment to living fully in the present, embracing both the good and the bad. The blank book. The blank book Nora receives at the end symbolizes the open-ended nature of life and the power of choice, emphasizing that her future is not predetermined, but rather a product of her own decisions. The importance of self-acceptance. The ending underscores the importance of self-acceptance and the realization that true happiness comes from within, not from external achievements or alternate realities.
All right. It looks like there's some, oh, just as a summary of reviews, and then similar books and about the author.
I'm really
Okay.
impressed, actually.
Yeah, it's
I
a
am
lot more
too.
detailed than what I thought it was going to be for just a summary. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
It's a lot more analyzing than I ever do, really.
Right. It reminds me of like what your teacher wants your book report to be like. When you're in school, this is what a book report's supposed to look like, right?
Exactly.
Then we were
I was
supposed to do
thinking as
book
I was
reports.
reading, I'll never do a summary of anything again because I suck at it.
We won't have to though.
That's kind
We
of
just
my thought too, Catherine.
we just plug it
I
in some sort of an AI and it'll do that. I'm wondering if that's what they did, was they just somehow did some AI summary or something. But who knows? It's definitely interesting. Well, what do you guys think? Do you think that this summary is, I mean, it is detailed. Is it enough to really get the gist? I mean, I guess it's enough to get the gist of the book, but is it enough to really, would you say that if we only read this summary, we would get as much out of it as we did reading the whole thing?
No.
personally, I'm not thinking we would, but it does, if we could take those analyzing subjects or factors and maybe spark more, because I don't know that it's a lot of analyzation, and that helped me think about the book, but I don't know if it would help discussion.
I think that it definitely gave us enough information to decide if that was a book we would want to read or not, which is kind of how we were looking at this is, if we go over the summary, we can decide, do we want to buy that book and read it? I definitely think it gave enough information for that choice to be made. I don't think I would have gotten as much out of this summary as I did reading the book. But I don't think
Yeah.
that that's necessarily the point of it either. I don't think it's meant to really replace the book, just to kind of highlight what it's about.
Mhm.
Yeah, there was a lot in the book that really gave it the color and the flavor and the um, adventure
Reflection.
of um, of learning and pondering, um, kind of guessing what exactly what was going on in the book. I thought, because with the summary, they kind of let the cat out of the bag right in the beginning, with the summary that she's had committed suicide, and um, there was just so much. It just seemed like there was more to it when you're coming at it from the idea that you're really trying to, you're left in the dark about a lot of things and you're trying to figure it out. So I, there was quite a bit. Obviously, being a summary, there's quite a bit left out, but um, I feel like that what was left out really gave it the texture and the flavor that you might really require to have a really good discussion about it.
Yeah, I
I feel
think it,
like, oh, go ahead,
it's-
Catherine.
I was just going to add real quick. I think it's definitely, it would be a wonderful tool if we decide to read a book to bring up some talking points, the way that it breaks it down.
Oh, good point.
Yeah,
Good
I
point.
liked that part that makes you think of things I didn't think of or that we didn't discuss.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, particularly when you're looking at it from a standpoint of, kind of analyzing the plot and analyzing the characters and analyzing the symbolism of the different aspects of it. Whereas, when we're reading it ourselves, we're kind of taking it as it comes, like what you were saying, Jason. We're trying to figure it out as we're going along, and I think that is one of the biggest things with a book is you don't know what to expect. I mean, you have an idea if you read a basic summary that's on like the book cover or whatever, as you get an idea of what the book's supposed to be about. But when you're in it and you're reading it chapter to chapter, you're experiencing the deeper emotional connection to what is being discussed in the book versus just a summary. So I feel like the summary is great. It gives you enough information to understand the purpose of the book, the characters, the storyline and all of that kind of thing, but you miss out on those emotional connections to the characters that you would have when you read the whole book, because you're experiencing those emotions as they're going through it, and you're experiencing that the full depth of, I think it's really just the emotional side of it, because this is very analytical and I think that's great in a lot of ways, but yet you miss out on the emotional. And that's where, even though it talks about these, these struggles that she was going through, you don't really feel it. You don't feel those struggles in the same way that you do when you're reading the story and it's it's unfolding as you're going through it. So,
The mystery and intrigue are missing.
uh-huh. Yeah, kind
Also,
of.
the personalities of the characters is missing.
Mm-hmm. Right, right.
Yeah, and especially like when it comes to, for instance, Cora's or Nora's anxiety and depression. Those words are easily thrown around, but in the book, it really takes you into those day-to-day scenarios where those things pop up and hinder her, or change the way that her life is going or the next choice she's going to make. And like you said, you really feel her depression, you really feel her anxiety. It triggers your heart, more than just reading depression or anxiety.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For sure. For sure. I
And
think,
they don't even mention her daughter, I don't think, in this summary, right?
Not in the summary.
no, yeah, that was one of the alternate life experiences that she had, was having the daughter. Yeah, I don't think it did mention that. It just mentioned the core characters.
I thought that section was pretty cool
So did I.
where she
Mm,
had that life experience, and that the timeliness of the different um, life experiences and the way things uh, that the sequence of events, I think, really had an impact on the book for me, and whereas the summary is sort of one-dimensional.
yeah, yeah. I think
It
that's
really
a good way of,
brushed over, sorry,
no, that's fine.
it really brushed over the attack of the polar bear too.
Right, right. Yeah, it's one thing to say you've been, I was attacked by a polar bear. It's a whole other thing to experience that with her of all of the things leading up to, and then what she was feeling as she was being confronted with the polar bear. So yeah, for sure. I think this is a good website in that it can give you a basic idea of what a book is about. And it can, I think that if you were to, I don't know, say you wanted something to talk about with somebody who's read the book already, but you hadn't read it, you could read through this and have a really good understanding of what the book is about, and you could have conversations about it. But yeah, I think we definitely miss out on some of the deeper emotional connections that can actually lead us towards changes in our own lives. I think this is kind of more like your parents telling you what to do because of these, circumstantial things versus you experiencing the things for yourself and learning the life lessons. Um, or
Or
not. Go
being
ahead.
assigned to read the book.
Right, right. I don't
Yeah,
know.
and then that whole point about that they make in the summary that the book is um, about learning through living rather than theoretical. It's kind of case in point that you should read the book.
Right. That's a good point. This is kind of the theoretical, analytical side of it. And if you read the book, you get the full emotional depth of the experience. Kind of like the difference between, I don't know, hearing somebody give a description of something versus actually experiencing it for yourself. There's just nothing, it's not the same. Now, I'm kind of
Yeah.
curious as to how it will be with, because the Midnight Library is a fiction book, and so, but it touches on these different topics. But for a nonfiction book, I'm curious. Maybe next week we can pick one that's a nonfiction book and read through that and see how that would compare and what we think. What do you guys think?
That's a good idea. I was just thinking the same thing. I was getting ready to say I'm glad that we picked this book because this was an emotional book,
Mhm.
as
Yeah.
opposed to some of the other ones that we've read. So
Hmm.
definitely. I think it's a
Yeah.
great site from what I see so far.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Especially if you want to, if you're looking for a way to have conversations with people and you want something different to talk about other than the weather, I think this is a great one because you really can get an idea of more than just reading the back cover of a book or get an idea. And it helps, I think, you determine, okay, is this really a book I want to dive into? Do I, are these different things something I'm really interested in? So I like it better than just guessing about a book by looking at its cover or its very brief one paragraph description. I think it's a better way to really determine if the book is something you'd be more interested in. Awesome. So what do you think? 4 stars, 5 stars for SoBrief.com?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
It's
think it's a great site. I mean, it's definitely more than just I was
Mhm.
almost expecting like a book cover type of summary,
Right.
you know. So
Yeah.
it's definitely way more than that. And
Yeah.
bring
I
and
think
can
it,
be used in conjunction. We won't read the conclusion, obviously, because we don't want to know how the book ends, but I think it will bring up some good talking points for us as we go through books to use them in
Yeah.
conjunction.
Right. Good idea.
I mean,
All right.
if you were reading a book and you came across a character that you were like, what is the point of this character? Something like this would be good to reference. Though I really, I wouldn't recommend reading one of these before you read a book if you really wanted to enjoy the book.
yeah, that's what I thought.
It's kind of like reading or watching the movie version of a book and then going back and reading the book.
Mhm.
version.
Right.
I
book
like to
version's
read the
usually-
book first and then see the movie.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and even that, it's at least for me, it seemed like it's always kind of a letdown to watch the movie sometimes because the books, if they're written well, they seem to really fill your mind with so much colorful imagination that isn't going to be shown in someone else's movie version, so it's interesting. Good resource, but like I said, I think the books are. I think you probably get more out of it if you're not confined to us, knowing that, well, this is, a certain summary is already told you what certain characters represent. Because you might come out with, we might have come out that, oh, that Nora Seed's first life was, we're thinking that was maybe her second life, but or you might have and it might expand your mind in a different direction that you can appreciate that. Maybe you come back to the summary and you look at it and like, oh, okay, well, I wasn't
I
I
didn't
wasn't
get
blind
that
to the
out of it.
summary, but it was still, even more impactful for me, because I think at one point we were all wondering, well, what does the cat represent, and we were reading into it a lot more than maybe it was made out to be. So, but all the life experiences too is something that, she goes through life experiences that I think people can relate to in their own lives. And with the summary certainly doesn't portray any of those.
Mhm. Mhm. All right. Well, cool. That was a good a uh, a good site to look at, and yeah, I think next week we should look at a nonfiction one, and we could either pick one that we've already done to do the comparison like we did today, or we could just pick a random one that we haven't done before, just to see whether it sparks us to want to read that book. What do you guys think? Which way should we go?
I don't know. I think I do think this is a great tool to wrap up a book with.
Hmm.
Because then once you've finished reading it, you have everything fresh in your mind, and then you can rediscover it um, through the summary.
And
Hmm.
spark further investigation.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's probably would be my choice.
Further analysis.
Hmm. Okay.
Really, really squeeze it for all the juice you can get out of it, right?
Right, right. All right. All right. So we want to so which do we want to do for next week?
Do you want to try a nonfiction, you said,
Mm-hmm.
next week?
Do we want to do a nonfiction summary that of a book we've already read or one that we have yet to read?
Well, we
I
mainly
didn't know we
go ahead.
had read nonfiction.
Oh, yeah. I think we've only read a couple of fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Are they mostly nonfiction or
Yeah,
mostly
most of the ones that we've done have been nonfiction.
yeah, it's mindset stuff, but
I say pick one that we've already read so that we can compare like we did this one. And
Okay.
we'll be able to figure out,
Mm-hmm.
how well it
all right.
matches up and then we can discuss, like Jason says he doesn't want to do this first before a book because it'll ruin the book for him.
Right.
That's a
Same.
huge
I agree.
Okay.
and Lori as well. So okay.
All right,
So
cool,
we
cool.
better just do one we've already done.
All right. Sounds good. I'll see what comes up in there in the search and see what we can find. Cool. All right, guys. Well, we're at the top of the hour. This is a really great discussion. that we learned about the website SoBrief. And so this one we discussed a fictional book that we've read before. And next week we will do another one that is a nonfiction book that we've read before, and we'll see how that compares to our experience with the whole book versus the brief version of it. So with that, guys, have a great, awesome, amazing week, and we'll see you next time on the Saturday Morning Mastermind. Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Oh, here, forget how to end the recording.